Hi, everyone. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. This is Lightspeed's Future Proof Your Business, How to Market Your Web Store. My name is Ryan Webb. I am a SEM manager for Lightspeed, and I'll be taking you through some more creative and outside the box ways to market your online store, so for your retail store. I've just a brief intro. I have worked at Lightspeed now for over 4 years, and I head up our global acquisition team. So any new leads that we generate for Lightspeed, be it SEO, SEM, affiliate, organic, all of this sort of comes through my team. In terms of marketing for a web store, I've been doing it for quite some time. I think some people might find it hard to believe, but as far back as 1997, I had a Beavis and Butthead fan site. And when the Beavis and Butthead Do America movie came out in 1997, I started selling VHS and DVDs through an affiliate partnership that I had with Reel.com, REEL.com, which was actually well before Amazon even launched in the late 90s. So I hope that you find today's presentation interesting. I'm going to go through some outside of the box ideas, just ways that you can get more traffic and hopefully more sales from your online store. And at the end of this presentation, so about 30 minutes in, we're going to open up the floor to some questions if you have any questions that you would like answered. A bit of background on Lightspeed first, though. Lightspeed is an all-in-one technology solution to empower independent retailers and restaurateurs across and give them the ability to sell across all channels. So the omni-channel approach is especially important for Lightspeed with current situations as they are right now with coronavirus and COVID. We have delivery add-ons that you can integrate directly with your POS for a restaurant. We have an e-commerce omni-channel solution for your retail store. And we allow you to accept payments and expand your business or keep selling even when your shop is closed. You can sell online. Lightspeed's mission, this is from Dax De Silva, our CEO, is to bring cities and communities to life by powering independent businesses. So really, I know times are tough right now for a lot of businesses out there, but our goal is to give them the tools they need to keep selling even when their store is closed. That being said, I'm just going to jump right into the presentation. So like I said, my name is Ryan. I do a lot of the online advertising for Lightspeed. Have been doing that for over 4 years. And the first point that I always like to talk about is search engine marketing. So that's advertising on Google through Google AdWords, and just making sure that you show up when your potential customers are searching for things that you might sell in your store. This can be both in-store or online, but you want to appear when users are looking for products that you might sell. So one thing to keep in mind with search is that it's not visual like social media is, or Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook. So I always like to go with a kind of funny example is that people don't tend to search for something along the lines of pineapple pajamas. You wouldn't go and search for pineapple pajamas because typically that's not something that comes to mind when you're going shopping. However, if you actually see a visual image of something like that, that might actually attract you. But this doesn't necessarily work for search. For search, what you want to do is you actually want to identify what your potential customers are searching for and ensure that you actually show when they're searching for that particular keyword. So I'm going to give you an example of something I did many years back, but search, which applies to Google search, it applies to Bing search, it also applies to YouTube, is I saw that search volume on YouTube, one of the most searched terms on YouTube is actually how to tie a tie. So this is obviously a text-based search. Someone searches how to tie a tie, and obviously they're looking to tie a tie. Now, what I did was for under $1,000, I hired a professional model from Dolcetto Modeling Agency here in Montreal, Canada. I got an attractive model to show how to tie a tie on video, and I posted that video on YouTube and shared it across a variety of different social media platforms. That video itself ended up getting about 30 million views. And anytime someone was searching for how to tie a tie, that video would show up. Now, I affiliated with online marketers who were trying to push tie shops, even ties.com, and actually made a commission off all the sales. What is the whole point to this story is that people, when it comes to your store, they might be searching for black socks, they might be searching for men's undershirts, they might be searching for something simple like pajamas. But if that is what they're searching for, you want to get them to your website from that search term and then try and keep them there or get them to purchase other items by making use of website features like what you see on the screen here, related products. Now, this is something that most web stores have, and Lightspeed is no exception. If you use Lightspeed e-com or if you use any of the e-commerce platforms out there, it's extremely important to use your relevant searches because you might have these low profit margin products, these low margin products like socks, but getting someone who is searching for black socks, there's not going to be a lot of advertisers out there that are actually bidding on that. You can get them to your website for very, very cheap, and then you can try and upsell them or sell them other related products that they might be likely to buy. At that point, you've brought in a user who is searching for something that's very much text-based. They searched for black socks, but that's when you can then show them something that's cool, some of your nicer looking products with great images, like the pineapple pajamas that they might find interesting and click on and actually make a purchase. Now, something that's actually very closely tied to this is estimating user demand. And that's where you're kind of taking that idea of what are people searching for, what are they looking for, and you're trying to think a little bit more outside the box and try and get in the mindset of what your customers are actually looking for. This, which I'll show in the next slide, is something that you can actually do for free. So with Google Ads, so it's google.com/ads or ads.google.com, you can sign up for an account. It's free to set up your account. You don't have to pay anything. But in the top right-hand corner of the account, once you've created your account and logged in, you have a tools section. And in that tools section is something called Google Keyword Planner. Google Keyword Planner essentially allows you to see how many users have searched for a particular term before you create an ad that's relevant to that term. The last thing you want to do is build out long ads and make display ads and remarketing ads and all sorts of other ads if no one's actually searching for what you're building out your ad copy, what your ad copy pertains to. So I always give an example that we did one time as a mistake at Lightspeed is that it was around July 4th. We saw someone come in as a customer who was purchasing for a POS system for a fireworks store. So obviously it's Independence Day, it's July 4th, it's they're purchasing for a fireworks store, and we decided we would build out a landing page and we would build out ads and we would advertise fireworks store point of sale system. Now the thing is, no one searches for fireworks store point of sale system. If someone is actually an owner of a fireworks store, they're probably just going to search for point of sale system. If there's any Lightspeed customers out there listening to this podcast, you might be a clothing store, but you probably didn't search for clothing store point of sale. You just search point of sale for retail or whatever it might be. So that's where it's very important to know whether people actually search for that term, because if they are searching for something, it's very easy for you to estimate how many potential users you can bring in, as well as how many potential customers you can get from those users. Now, I'm going to sort of try and explain this a bit better. So when I say think outside the box, you'll see on your screen now two different examples. So one search is for weight loss program, and one search is for low calorie meals. So I don't know about you, but just to walk you through what you're seeing on the screen, like I was going to say, I don't know about you, but I don't actually search for low calorie meals unless I'm on a diet. I'm getting married at the end of the summer, so like maybe if I want to lose a few pounds to fit into my tux, that's when I'm going to search for a low calorie meal. But someone searching for a weight loss program, most likely they're trying to lose weight. Someone searching for low calorie meals, also trying to lose weight. So you have two very relevant searches that are very, very similar. If you're selling a health product, if you're selling sporting goods equipment, roller blades, exercise equipment, any of these terms might be something that you want to target or you want to bring people to your website based on these terms because that search intent is there. That mindset of I want to lose weight or I want to get healthy or whatever it might be. That's what your customer is looking for, making sure that your ad shows. Now, why do I bring up this example? Well, everyone knows that there's a lot of weight loss programs out there. And if you look at the search volume down below, so you'll see in the bottom left, you'll see the keyword that was provided. This is the Google keyword tool, the keyword planner tool that I discussed. So you'll see on the left, it's the keyword that was provided. It'll tell you how many people in the United States search for that term per month. Both of them are actually equal at 33,000 searches per month. But what's really, really interesting is when you look at the competition. The competition for low-calorie meals, I even encourage you to go and type in low-calorie meals in your Google right now. You'll see there's very few ads. There's organic search results, but there are very few advertisements. So what this means is that were you to advertise low-calorie meals, you would be paying at most $4.59 for for any traffic that comes to your website. This is the top of page bid. It's also the high range. You'll also have to keep in mind that my search is in Canadian dollars. But to put it in different numbers, you would be paying roughly $1 to get people to come to your website that are searching for low-calorie meals. Whereas if you were actually doing weight loss programs, which has high competition, the Pelotons out there, the Weight Watchers, all sorts of different weight loss programs are going to have the same type of ads and they're going to be competing for that ad space. You're going to pay about 5 times as much for it. So just something to keep in mind is that if you sell men's t-shirts, don't just bid on men's t-shirts. If you sell women's shoes, don't just bid on women's shoes. There's going to be a very, very high volume of search. However, the competition is going to be high, and that cost that you're going to pay to get those people to your website is going to be just as high. And then you're competing against all the other people who have much bigger budgets than you. If you want to test Google Ads with $100 or $200 just to start off and try and get some traffic and see if you can make some sales, you can't go after these more expensive key terms, or at least I wouldn't recommend going after these expensive terms. Try to think a bit outside the box and find some terms that no one else is bidding on. Now, with that being said, it's also important to not reinvent the wheel. I think that something that I always like to tell people is don't be afraid to copy. Imitation is a form of flattery, as they say. Don't be afraid to copy as long as you're not blatantly ripping someone off. So what I mean by that is that if you sell men's clothing and there's a women's clothing store that has a really good social media account, they've got a beautiful looking Instagram, they've got great ads, it doesn't mean that you can't adjust them and kind of copy what they're doing. Now, I don't want to say, like I said, don't blatantly rip it off, but you can look at what type of keywords they're bidding on and adjust your keywords to match. This way you can make sure that you're hitting the right audience, you're hitting the audience that someone with a bigger budget than you is targeting, but you're doing so more effectively. Again, you can go through different, the keyword research tool, you can use tools like SEMrush and other tools to see what people are bidding on, but it's just a great way to kind of have a successful marketing strategy or test something out. If something is working in Miami, Florida, it might also work in Los Angeles, California. So check out what the competition is doing and try and replicate what you think is successful, and then try and build upon other things that you think that can be built upon. Now, if you want to see what your competition is doing and you want to see it more granular, you want to see what websites are their ads showing up on, what keywords are they bidding on, how do their ads look like on Google Shopping, someone searching for pineapple pajamas and you want to make sure that your image pops up there. So we'll see what other competitors and what other ads are showing when you're on through some of these tools. So AdSpy, SEMrush, even the Google Keyword Planner, it'll show you what your competition is doing. So you can get all this information and all this research for free in a lot of cases and use that to your advantage. Now, I did talk a lot about search, and the search that I'm referring to, there is the paid search aspect of it. There is organic search. Organic search means free listings based on Google's algorithms that determine whether or not you're the most relevant result. I'm going to go into that a little bit later in the presentation. But in terms of the search, we talked about how it is not visual. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be on the social media sites and whatever. It's just the one I started with because I think it's the one that not a lot of people utilize, but it's also important to be everywhere. So you want to be on Instagram, you want to be on Facebook, you want to be on Pinterest, Google Shopping, LinkedIn, YouTube. Like I said with the how to tie a tie video that I created in the past, sometimes you don't know where your sales are going to come from. If you get people to your website through a video, or if people are clicking on a Pinterest post with your pineapple pajamas, or if they're liking your ads on Facebook, or if they're liking your posts on Facebook, or if you're doing something charitable and they're sharing that with their friends, all of these are great ways to drive people. Once you know which one is working the best for you, which platform actually is driving the most sales, that's when you can focus a bit more on one particular platform. But I always recommend having some sort of presence on each of these websites. Instagram allows you to advertise. It's actually a Facebook company. So with one ad account with Facebook, you can advertise both on Facebook and Instagram. If you increase the number of followers you have on Facebook, you will get more reach. You will get more bang for your buck for your ads. If you advertise on Pinterest, again, that's possible. Google Shopping is available through the Google Ads interface. LinkedIn, not necessarily the best for smaller businesses, but LinkedIn Mail can be a great way to communicate with lookalike lists of potential customers. And then YouTube is really underutilized. I think that a lot of people spend a lot of time on YouTube, but you just have to find some creative ways to try and get people to come and get to your website. Now, on that note, I think that it's very important to have great content. At the end of the day, people aren't going to come to your website only to purchase things. They're like, obviously, if you have an e-com store, that's kind of the goal, but great content can even be beautiful product images. Like there's no reason that with your iPhone or with your Google phone or with a friend's iPhone that you can't take some beautiful pictures of your items and post them up on Facebook and say, hey, these are our new arrivals. You can do the same on Pinterest, you can do the same on Instagram, but these are just additional ways to get additional eyes on your products and hopefully get visitors to your website. Now, you can go a little bit more in detail when it comes to through diversifying your content. So a little stat that I like to bring up, 70% of marketers are actively investing in content marketing. So it's very important to make sure that you put up some form of content. If you're just a Facebook page with only your hours, you're going to miss out on a lot of potential customers. If you just have a Google My Business, but you don't have a website, YouTube, it's super important. It's the #1 medium in most content strategies. It is a bit more expensive to shoot a professional video, but it doesn't mean that you can't just have yourself on video saying, hey guys, this is the latest product that we just got at our store. Come check it out. It's available starting Tuesday. You can end up getting a following. You can show even unboxing videos. So when a new shipment comes in from a wholesaler to the store, you could even do an unboxing video and show all the items as they come in the box. Just create something interesting that people might be interested in reading or watching in this case. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of a pivot, and I think this is a bit of a different topic that maybe not a lot of people are overly familiar with, but obviously not everyone wants to pay to get people to come to their website. You can create free content and put it on Facebook, but usually in order to get people to see it, you might have to put a few advertising dollars behind it. You can boost a post. Hopefully people will like it. Hopefully people will follow your Facebook page. So then the next time that they see it, the next time that you post something, they'll see it for free without you having to pay Facebook to boost that post. Same can be said about Instagram. If people like your images or like everything that you post, you might be able to get more bang for your buck. You might be able to get some free users. But aside from that, a lot of it starts off with paid. But Another very, very important thing for an e-com store, and almost every e-commerce store that is successful has a organic search strategy. So that means that when someone searches for, I know it's not retail, but if they search for pizza place near me, they're going to have the local pizza places coming up, and the ones that get the most customers are going to be the ones with the positive reviews, the ones that are the top result, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If someone is searching for baseball equipment near me, and you're a sporting goods store, you want to show up when they perform that search. And if you're not willing to pay on the Google ad, that's where you have to focus on a bit of your organic strategy. Now, when I say negotiate with websites, you can have all the greatest content ever. You can put hours and hours and hours of work into building content and making sure that you have beautiful pages and beautiful imagery and fun blog posts, but it doesn't really matter if nobody sees it. The key in terms of making sure your organic strategy works for your e-commerce store is making sure that people see pieces of content that you put out. Now, the way I would recommend that is negotiating with other websites, negotiating with influencers, and having a backlink strategy. A lot of people might be confused by what I'm saying here, but a backlink strategy is pretty simple. Is that when a website links to your e-com store, or when an influencer talks about it on YouTube or shares a link on social media, all of this helps traffic through this link, this backlink, end up on your website. And this is also a key indicator used by both Facebook and Google to determine, okay, is this website valuable? Is it something that we should rank more highly in organic search results? So one example that I've always seen very, very successful for stores that create their own products is to give away a free sample. Give away a free sample to an influencer. When you reach out to other websites, people that are influencers, review websites perhaps, that talk about the coolest products for, maybe there's a mommy blog, the coolest product for moms, the newest stroller, or the newest baby hats, or whatever it might be. If someone is already writing about that content, if they're putting things out, if they're seen as an influencer in this space, there's no reason you can't reach out and say, hey, if you guys write an honest review about my product and link back to my website, I'll give you a free, you'll be able to keep the sample that I sent you to review. So this actually can work and get backlinks from very, very relevant sites. So maybe I can try and clarify that a little bit better, but there's an influencer who has a blog that is receiving thousands and thousands and thousands of visitors per day. And maybe they do unboxing videos, maybe they write product reviews. Let's just say it's for the latest kicks, the latest sneakers, whatever you want to call it. So they write sneaker reviews, and you sell your own insoles. You sell your own foam insoles, and you say, hey, we'll send you a free pair of foam insoles if you give us a product review. I would say probably about 50% of the time, the person's going to say yes. Everyone likes free stuff. You can get a free backlink. Were you to pay for that backlink, you'd probably have to pay a few $1,000s, but simply sending over a $20 product can get you backlinks. And once you already have a popular site that's getting thousands of searches, that's backlinking to your website, Google's going to pick up on this, and they're going to start to recognize that, hey, this is a more authoritative website. A lot of high value websites are linking to it, and they're going to start showing you above your competitors in the search results. And when you're showing above your competitors in the search result, you're going to get about 70% free web traffic from this. So it's just something else that you can test out. Now, we talked a lot about getting traffic to your website. The first part of the presentation talked about getting traffic through Google Ads. We talked about finding what your users are searching for and getting ways to drive them in. We talked about using social media, be it Facebook or Pinterest, and putting nice images that'll drive people to your website, potentially even creating YouTube videos. And lastly, we talked about negotiating with websites to get them to come to, to get users to come to your website through backlinks. Now, you've done all this work to get users to your website. It's super important that you remarket. A lot of people might say, oh, remarketing, that sounds very difficult. It's more for the big players out there. Expedia is a great example. You do a search on Expedia for Las Vegas vacations, and for the next 2 months, you're going to see nothing but ads saying still planning a trip to Las Vegas. The reason they do that is because people who have been to your website are actually a lot more likely to purchase when you bring them back to your website for a second time. So sometimes, you put an item in your shopping cart, you advertise, you're about to purchase it, and then it's time to walk the dog and you forget about it. Remarketing allows advertisers, websites, e-com stores to bring people back to the website, and they're 70% more likely to convert after being shown ads, shown display ads based on what they were previously searching. Now, something that people don't know is that if we go back to that example of the weight loss programs and the low-calorie meals, it might cost $1 to get a user to your website the first time. In terms of remarketing, it costs about 2 cents. So it's about 50 times cheaper in a lot of cases to get people back to your website the second time. Now, why is that? Google makes their money when people actually click on an ad. They don't make any money when people do not click on an ad. Most ad networks are like this. Unless someone clicks on the ad, they don't really get any money. So they favor the ad that is most likely to be clicked on. If someone's been to your website before, they've shown interest in the product, and they're 70% more likely to click, then Google is going to show that ad at a lower cost because even they're capturing that 2 cents per click, but it's a lot easier for them to capture that 2 cents than it is to capture that $1 that they would have gotten for a new visitor who's never heard of your product or never been to your website. So it's extremely important to do remarketing, and it's a lot simpler than you might think. So these 2 slides here, the next 2 slides are actually showing you how to set up remarketing. It's something you can do natively in a lot of e-commerce platforms, including Lightspeed. But for those of you who want to know a bit more, there are some links at the end of this presentation. But essentially, you're going to go into Google's backend. This is Google Analytics. It's also another free tracking platform that is provided by Google, completely free to use. All you have to do when you're in Google is you choose, go to the admin, you go to users, you define an audience, and then you'll see here in the conditions section that all you have to do is identify what page on your website the user is using, and then you can build up an ad to show them what you want to see based on people that have visited that particular part of your website. So I know it sounds complicated, but to simplify a bit further, let's say you wanted to show people who have been to your website, your clothing section of your website, you wanted to show them a clothing ad. Or maybe they were on your website in October, and in November for Black Friday, you want to show them all clothing 20% off. All you have to do is you copy and paste a code from Google and put it on your website so that you can start tracking users. And then to remarket to them, you would create this audience by saying page contains clothing. So any pages that are in your clothing section of your website, you build up this audience, you click save, it'll ask you to name that audience, and you say clothing section visitors. You now have an audience that you can plug into Google Ads as well as into your Facebook account. You would do a similar thing with Facebook's remarketing pixel. But now you can say, show this ad in particular, show this banner, show whatever it is, to users who have previously been to the clothing section of the site. Now, I think that another piece that I'd like to touch on, and I'll try and keep it brief because I know we're hitting the 30-minute mark right now, but maintain a marketing list. There are a lot of different ways you can collect a customer's emails. Anytime someone makes a purchase, you should by default be asking for the customer's email just in case you have to reach out to them. But that's a great way to keep them updated on discounts or special offers that you might have in the future. It's not the only way. Someone doesn't have to be a customer for you to collect their email address. Maybe you might want to have something on Facebook that says our Black Friday deals, I know it's a ways away, but our Black Friday deals are coming, or our new summer collection is coming out soon. Be in the know, fill out your email, we'll let you know we'll let you know when our new products are released. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can actually drive people to provide you with your email. One thing I love to do, it's a kind of been a secret of my success, is gated assets or valuable pieces. What that is a valuable piece of content that someone's willing to give their email address in order to access. So let's just say we go back to the example for those of you who have been listening the entire time from the very beginning of the low-calorie meals. So what we had said at the beginning was that if someone has searched for low-calorie meals, most likely they're looking to lose weight. Now, you could say download our top 20 low-calorie meal options in PDF with recipe guide and pictures and whatever. Download this free recipe book. And all the user has to do is provide you with an email address in order to download that free recipe book. You could have composed that recipe book through any, whatever it might be, any different websites, or doing some research, or finding an old cookbook somewhere. You put together this guide, and for people that have searched for low-calorie meals, you can actually then collect their email address in order for them to download this piece of content. Now, what do you have? You have a list of people, because you sort of got into their mindset, the consumer's mindset, and you have a list of people who are actively trying to lose weight. So again, if you're selling sporting goods equipment, if you're selling health food, if you're selling any weight loss programs, if you're selling DVDs, if you're selling exercise equipment, anything of that nature, you now have an email list of people who have willfully given you your email address, their email address, and you can then market them with different pieces of content. Lastly on there is just loyalty programs. I think that's also extremely important. Just if you want to offer customers something like a discount on their first purchase, a discount on their 10th purchase, if you want them to sign up, a great way to get them to provide their email address to you is just to get them to sign up to a loyalty program. Maybe you offer them a discount at certain occasions, or a free $50, $20 item on their birthday, even free samples on their birthday. People love that, and they're often willing to give their information, give their email address when they come into your store for the first time. And then the last little piece that I'm going to talk about is don't be afraid of Groupon. So one thing that you'll find online is a lot of different websites, kind of like, I call them Groupon style, but there are these couponing sites. They're the retail me nots. They're places where you can buy things for cheap. There's even subreddits there's even Reddits on reddit.com where people are looking for cheaper items or discount items or things that are on a crazy discount. So it's not always best practice to discount too often, because then people might think that you have a cheap product or that your offering is not as valuable, and maybe they're going to be less likely to pay full price. However, at the same time, if you do have something, what we call in the industry dusty inventory, you have something that's sitting on your shelf that's just not selling, there's no reason not to sell it at a massive discount, 70, 80, 90% off on sites like Groupon, on Retail Me Not, a lot of these other relatively cheap sites where you can sell these items. Now, you're probably going to take a loss. I'll be totally honest, you'll take a loss on the items themselves, but you might be able to collect now email addresses of your target audience that are buying from your Groupon, shipping addresses, other information about your potential customers that then you can use to drive people back to your store a second time. So yes, they might have gotten an old t-shirt that's been sitting on the shelves for 6 months for $2 instead of $20, but when your new collection comes in, if it's much more popular, if it wasn't selling, like if it's something that's selling better, you can then highlight that to them. And then you know that they're your target audience because they've already bought a product from you in the past. Anyway, all that being said, just to maybe summarize before we go into the questions, find out what your users are looking for. So like I said, the easiest way to get visitors to your e-com store is to know what they're searching for and make sure that you have an ad showing when they're there. The second piece is to try and estimate user demand. So get in the mindset of your customer, think like they do, and try and get them to your website for cheap. I like to say think outside the box, because if you're just trying to bid on something that everyone is bidding on, Men's clothing, everyone's bidding on that on Google. Women's shoes, everyone is bidding on that. You're going to pay a lot of money, and you're not going to get many visitors to your website. You won't get as much bang for your buck, in other words. So it's better to get your ideal customer for $1 than to get your ideal customer to your website for $20 because you're going after a keyword that's super high competition. The next piece is obviously don't reinvent the wheel. If you see things that your competitors are doing, or they don't have to be competitors, they can be other stores that you really admire, you can sometimes just learn from their strategy. You can use tools, as I mentioned, like AdSpy or SEMrush or even Google to look into how they're advertising, where they're advertising, and try and emulate that. Don't blatantly copy it, but make sure that you advertise on the places that other people that you admire are advertising. 4 was be everywhere. So yes, we talked about Google search. We talked a little bit about organic and getting backlinks, but you also want to be on social media. You want to be on YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest. You want to be on all these different things because you never know where your customers might come from, and you never know which strategy is going to work best for you and for your target audience. Negotiate with websites. That's where I talked about the importance of backlinks, especially if you want to get cheap or free traffic. Reach out to review sites, reach out to influencers, tell them if they review your product or if they talk about you, you'd be more than happy to give them a free item, or you can send them an item for review, but just make sure that you negotiate in advance that they will give a review, hopefully positive, but you say unbiased review, we'll send you a free pair of sneakers if you give a review. Maintain your marketing list is something else that's very important. Just have a list of emails of potential customers, existing customers, people that have signed up for your loyalty program. And then at the same time, don't be afraid to use deep discounting for things that aren't selling in your store, because just getting people to your website, you can then remarket to them, like in number 7, you can remarket to them and bring them back to try and get them to back to your website for cheaper. So offer a big discount at first, bring them in, and then see how you can go from there. So that being said, okay, I see we're actually a little bit over time right now. So I just wanted to go on to the last slide with some resources. This presentation will be available on Lightspeed's website afterwards for anyone that has additional questions or want to know a little bit more about what I said or want to go a bit more detail. But yes, if you do have any questions, just reach out to Lightspeed, because unfortunately we have gone over time, and we'll email you the answers to those questions. All right, so I wanted to thank everyone for tuning in, and this has been Lightspeed's future-proofing your business. Sorry, before I go, that email address is marketing.events@lightspeedhq.com. All right, it's marketing.events@lightspeedhq.com. All right, thank you so much to everyone for attending.